What's up, guys? This is Dave from the Brohoyo podcast. My boy Steve just dropped a video kind of giving his impressions, his review of Nikkei, and he put that up earlier today, so I wanted to give this a watch, kind of react to some of his thoughts, and also maybe give a few tips and pointers to maybe help the gameplay be a little bit more efficient for beginners if you're interested in trying out the game. And then just, like I said, ultimately see what his takes are and maybe help correct him on some of his takes, perhaps. But let's go ahead and give it a watch.
Hello there. I am Steven. I'm your one half of your usual podcasting host pair. But today,
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right here. Because I already can tell he's using his own music. Man, one of the big selling points to this game for me is the music in the game. So my boy is doing a disservice by playing this very lounge music, elevator music, when the music in the game is really fantastic and probably one of the excuse me, some of the best music that I've heard in a gotcha game out there. So let's jump back to it here. Let's see what else he's got to say.
I'm going to be going through my Nikkei daily process. I know that Dave and I have spoken about Nikkei before multiple times, so I figured, you know what, let's show everybody what goes on in Nikkei, how it plays, how it goes. Also, kind of defend my stance of the fact that I'm not super in love with the game. I'll leave Dave to eventually, come on and maybe create a defense of Nikkei, but
All right, so I'm gonna pause it right here. He's saying he's not a fan of the game, and that's fair. Not every game is for everyone, but he is gonna maybe hopefully give it a fair shake here. But let's see what he's got to say. Me, I am a day one player on Nikkei. I was aware of it before it launched, and something I was following because it reminded me a lot of the old arcade style, Time Crisis when growing up. So I was interested in it because of that factor, and it wasn't just another turn-based, Summoner's War-esque clone. And obviously, you have your Nikkeis and the proverbial eye candy, your fan service as well, which isn't bad. But there are other reasons I would say to stick around this game, which we'll dive into a little further on if he's giving a full-on review.
for my purposes, I'm probably going to be a little bit harsher than what Dave would be. So fair warning for everybody. I'm going to be a little bit hard on Nikkei. And I guess just to as you can see, as I've been clicking around here, just to kind of start out. I think one of the things that I will say that's nice about Nikkei is I do enjoy their events. They are fairly standardized, but I do like how kind of how standard they are, as weird as that sounds. For example, here I'm going into the challenge mode, which is just a boss fight, and you will now.
So just really briefly, yeah, on these events, there's usually a story event, which I think he'll jump into here in a minute. But these challenge modes, it's scaling difficulty levels with each, every couple days, a harder difficulty of the boss will unlock. And typically these bosses, depending on how strong your account is, you may be able to auto battle them and get through it with ease. But sometimes some slight manual play might be required, which isn't overly difficult per se, especially if you're playing on the computer or the PC client as opposed to on your phone. I will say it does make it a little easier with the mouse as opposed to your fingers. But that is essentially what he's diving into here with the challenge mode.
Now see me and my wonderful auto battling setup.
Let me let this
You'll
play
also
out,
get your
and I'm going to jump
first
back. Here we go. Let's take a look at his team in between
which, as you
these
can see, is a bit of a
cutscenes.
gallery shoot.
There we go. Oh man.
Um,
All right, there we go. So we go ahead and take a look at his team comp here real quick. I don't know what his roster is. Hopefully we'll see that a little later, and I can maybe do a little account review on what Steve has and help him maybe build a more functional team. So in Nikkei, looks like he's got his burst 1 unit, which is the leader. Right here, he has his burst 2 and his healer here, and then he's got a couple burst 3s, which is all well and good. What I would probably tweak here is Tove, who's this 5th unit over here on the right, doesn't really have very much synergy with this team. Leader is by far one of the best burst 1 units in the game, if not the best, in terms of the buffs she provides and also the ability to repair cover. Alice and Red Hood, his 3rd and 4th slotted characters here, are really good, especially Alice when she's heavily invested in, and Red Hood is also very flexible and a fantastic character. I imagine he's running Marciana here just for a healer. There are better burst 2s out there, but she is pretty solid, especially as a healer. And you can see here these green bars on the health just to give that little extra health. That is going to be from Marciana's burst ability. So let's jump back and let this run.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a game with...
My man's is letting this play on auto and not doing anything, but what you would want to do in this particular boss fight is these projectiles, you'd want to shoot these down, which you have a shotgun user with Marciana and Tove. Just switch over to one of those real quick, pop these out of the sky, and then go back to letting auto do its thing. But instead, he's going to lose a character right here, which I think makes this fight a little harder.
It shows off its assets well.
Oh,
let's put it that way.
He didn't lose a character. I'm surprised. Those are usually
like
pretty,
I said, I'm not really
strong.
a fan of gallery shooters or rail shooters. So this doesn't. There's a reason I auto battle it. The abilities
second
are
round
kind
of
of neat.
projectiles.
The
Again,
characters
he's
are
autoing,
neat,
so he's
but
not defending,
I just
and there
don't
goes his Red
really
Hood,
enjoy
who's one of his major DPS units.
the way
so
the
this
system
became
works.
a lot tougher of a fight.
From a gameplay point of view.
We'll see here. He's got these 3 red circles that popped up. Again, the auto isn't going to target these. I'm not sure why it doesn't target them. But as far as getting those, he'll just shoot them a mass number of times, target them, take over manually very quickly, and just click and hold. Your team will shoot at it, and then it'll knock them down. Right, pretty easy peasy there.
Now, these rings here you're supposed to shoot out, but since I'm auto battling, the AI doesn't target them for some reason. It's just they didn't code it to do that. I understand why they're kind of trying to force engagement, but again, not really a big fan of it. It wouldn't be that hard, I don't believe, to change the targeting priority of the AI to prevent those sort of events, those sort of attacks, to take out the rings when they see them.
And in that last fight, because he lost Red Hood, you'll notice he didn't get to go through his full burst rotation, and now Tove is dead as well. So that's why it's so important to shoot those projectiles out of the sky on this particular boss fight. And also, again, going back to team comp, Tove doesn't really provide anything with synergies to this team comp. And the fact that Red Hood died early being his second burst 3 unit, now he's no longer left with able to get through that full rotation, unfortunately. But hopefully he's able to finish out this fight with a victory.
But again, they want you playing the game. They don't want you doing what I'm doing, which is just auto battling with it.
All right, he was able to do it.
Although
Good
I
deal.
don't, I'm playing on the PC client just for clarity's sake. I don't see how somebody playing on a phone would be able to enjoy the gameplay. Like it doesn't seem my cup of tea. But then again, I did not grow up in the age of iPads and touch phones and so forth. Those came later in my life. And then here's for the other half of the event, where you sort of play through standard adventure missions. My team is a little bit underleveled here because I'm trying to maximize the bonuses.
So what he means by that is every event, there's usually a character or a couple characters that are featured or highlighted in the story, and by using those characters in these event missions, you get more of the event currency. So it looks like his second character slot, third character slot, and fifth character slots are all characters of lesser rarity, and also I think they were level 1 when I saw it on the loading screen there, because he's using them specifically just to get the boosts. There are SSR characters that provide boosts in the current event going on. He just doesn't maybe have them in his roster, and that's why he's relegated to using these particular ones. But the good news is, as long as you have a decent couple of units, you can carry the main story in these events to get through the main story and also farm up a lot of the currency pretty easily, even with these underleveled units.
Oh,
As I hope we'll see right here.
Some of my units are gonna hit like wet noodles because I don't have them synchronized. Um, so I'm really kind of relying on Helm and Red Hood to kind of carry my team through this.
Put some respect on that name, Red Hood, not Red Wolf.
Although that is one thing I will give credit to Nikke. Again, I'm going to be somewhat negative, but I do have positive things to say about it. I do like the synchro device that they have, and the way that works is you choose your 5 highest level Nikkes or characters are used to set the levels of other characters that you basically can synchronize with them. Now, you have a limited number of slots for that. At this point, I think I've got like 30, but I also have like 50-something Nikkes, something like that. I'm kind of pulling numbers out of nowhere here. But you can't have all of them set up that way. But the nice part is, at least as far as level goes, you can set it so that they're all roughly around the same level. So it is one thing that I kind of feel like maybe Genshin or other gachas could really learn from, is if they're going to make leveling kind of pointless.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because it looks like he's able to clear these different levels pretty easily despite having 3 under-leveled units. But you kind of get a sense for like how quick a mission is in Nikke, how quick a stage can go, and also for these story missions, for the events, how easy it is. Even with a pretty new account or a low-level account, you're able to push through these story modes pretty easily to start getting that currency.
But obviously tomorrow I'll have maxed it out, and I'll have to come back and do repeat shooting.
All right, there we go.
And it's not fun for me. I really don't enjoy it. I'm more of a hold down the trigger and spray and pray type player.
So missions for clearing each stage, more event currency.
In the past, we have mentioned...
He's going to go into the shop here, and I want to just kind of... This is a little tip for beginners or a tip for people that are interested in, hey, what do I prioritize in these event shops in Nikke? So these first 4 items, these are essentially your attempts, right? If you want to spend premium currency to get more attempts to ultimately earn more event currency, you can do that. It's not necessary to essentially max out the important items in here. So in terms of prioritizing what you're buying in the shop, you're going to prioritize polls, right? Each event gives 10 polls on the limited banner that you can buy and 10 polls on a standard banner that you can buy. So we want to go ahead and prioritize those. These next 4 items here are going to be to level up your skills of your Nikkes, which is a commodity that is in high demand. And so you are going to want to buy these out every time, especially as a free-to-play player, right? So this way you can level up the skills of the Nikkes, and thus they are a little bit stronger, and you can push content a little faster. Battle data. You can skip this. I promise you can skip this. You don't need it. You will have an overabundance of battle data. It may not seem like it right now. Maybe if you're in the early stages of the game, or maybe if you're in... or you haven't broken through that 160 wall yet, but I guarantee you this resource is going to be in abundance once you get to the 160 wall, if not even before then, depending on how poor your luck is to break that 160 wall. Core Dust, this is going to be a must-buy every time. This is going to be the resource that you need the most after you break the 160 wall. You're going to get to a point where every level that you upgrade in the synchronized device is going to cost 10,000 Core Dust. So you're going to want to get this every time. The next priority is going to be all these attack, defender, support crests, as well as these medals for each specific faction. So you're going to want to buy these out after the... I would prioritize again after the skills. I would prioritize these third, as it were. So this is going to be a passive boost to all Nikkes that fall under the attacker category, the defender category, or the support category. And then these next ones are related to what manufacturer they are. So it's going to boost all Nikes in the Elysian category, the Missilist, Tetra, or Pilgrim ones, or the Abnormal faction, which Abnormal is going to be all of our collab units that we have, which we've had Chainsaw Man, we've had Near Automata, and then recently announced ReZero is going to be the next one, which actually drops in a couple days, is Abnormal. But yeah, so these are going to be next. You can go ahead and skip the re-energies. Again, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have a bunch of these, and you're going to hit a wall in the passive stat boosting to where you can only raise the level of this once your Nikkes are a certain level. And that level is typically in increments of 10. And when you need 10,000 core dust per level, that's 100,000 core dust, which isn't going to come super easily. So skip the re-energies and then just go straight in for these core dusts right here. Anything left over, then maybe you can go into the re-energies or probably most likely credits. But again, breaking these shops down really quickly, well, I guess not really quickly, but you know what I mean. First priority, tickets. We always love to get our pulls. That's why we play gacha games, right? Because we love that dopamine hit on the pulls. Skill manuals prioritize second, core dust third, attacker and manufacturer medals fourth, and then lastly, just specifically the core dusts.
About the rewards for events, as you can see, I've already maxed out the paid currency, and I'm just finishing out some of the basically free currency, the regular currency.
We're gonna do a 10 pull here. Here we go.
I got enough. I think I'm gonna do a quick pull.
There's no hard pity in Nikke, unlike Genshin.
I'm not like Dave. I don't really.
But hopefully he hits here.
I will save up 10 pulls for Nikke, but no real reason not to burn the standard pulls. At least to my knowledge, there's not really a reason not to just pull them when you.
So on his saying there's no reason to save up standard banner pulls, for the most part he would be correct. The one thing that you may look out for is, let's say there's a limited banner, but it's not necessarily a limited character. So limited characters would be like the summer characters that came out last year almost. We're coming up on summer again. Red Hood was a limited character. So these characters that aren't going to be moved to this standard pool. So usually about 2 patch cycles after a character's banner ends, they're added into that standard pool. And we see this revised wish list right here. So that's broken down. You can choose 5 Nikkes from each manufacturer and have those be kind of the priority, right? And slightly increase the odds of getting those if you pull an SSR. So the only reason you would really save standard banner pulls is if there is a Nikke that you are wanting that's coming to the standard banner that you want to kind of save up or increase your odds for hitting in the standard banner. But really at the end of the day, you know, if you really want the character, you're pulling for her while she's on her active banner. Anyway, for the most part, Steve is correct. Just pull once you get 10. And don't use gems for the standard banner. Save those for limited banners. Anyway.
You get them. And I'm 1 short of the next one. So I guess I'm going to go back to doing dailies. So here's the campaign.
So you'll notice when he loaded in, this is a quick quality of life thing in the last patch, that the arrow, you'll see that it's white right here above his squad. When he originally loaded in, it was orange. That means he's near a hidden node or a hidden item on the overmap here that he can go around and find, and usually maybe it's credits or it's gems or it's some collectible that ultimately leads to gems or something of that nature. But anyway. Little tip.
Again, kind of, it's going to be more of the same. My team's not really optimized, I'll be 100% honest. I've got the rabbits on it. But other than that, don't really have...
so this team's really good, actually. This is pretty much
threw in characters I like.
The meta build, or one of the meta builds, with the bunny girls being the second
like my
and
Red
fourth.
Hood, like
so
my,
a little bit of Blanc
my
action
bunny
here.
girls, like my leader. Enough said, I guess. I don't know.
But
they
yeah,
do
so
have these,
leader of the best
you know, as
S1,
you've probably seen
Blanc
a couple
and
times
Noir
now.
being the bunny twins.
When they use their
is
like ultimate ability,
the best meta comp. Then he's got
what it's
Scarlet,
called.
who's
They're equivalent of an
top
ult.
DPS, mixed
you know,
in here
that
with
nice
Red
little
Hood
animation,
as well.
which is pretty cool. Dave will occasionally mention that he needs 3 copies of a character to unlock it. when I get back to the main page, you'll kind of see the wallpaper. And what you can do is you can basically unlock those ultimates as the wallpaper that you have. I think mine's currently set to Winter Ludmilla, if I remember correctly. That's the one I currently have it set to, but you can get a number of them for.
Man, switch to autoplay here. His mission is
all the different
easy.
characters, and once you get the 3-star or 3 copies of a character, so you actually have to get 4. You have to get 1 for the character itself, and then 3 duplicates. You can unlock it for.
I can't reiterate
for them. You also need to do
good
that
the music in the game is, and
wall.
this music he has selected is killing
that,
this vibe.
But
we're gonna power through, guys. Stay with me.
I mean, technically, it's been a couple months since I've done it, but since I don't play super regularly or super intensely, it doesn't feel like I've really done much of anything. Or it feels like it's still been fairly fresh since I last did it. Another thing I guess I'll complain about the AI on. I just finished up the mission, but one thing I do kind of have the issue with the AI on is on those like area defense missions where you're trying to prevent them from moving to or tower defense type missions.
All right. So when he was talking about the homepage, the wallpaper, this is what he was talking about. So he's got Ludmilla in there. I want to see who his other. You can have up to 5 in there. I really want to see who his other ones are as well. But that's what he means when you get a max limit broken unit and you get essentially the 4th copy, so the 3rd limit break. You unlock this ability to do a wallpaper. There are max limit breaks beyond that. Each max limit break that you do is essentially a 2% power boost to the unit's stats as well. So not overly critical or vital to the unit, but just a nice little hefty boost if you're trying to spike that power. And also, the most important part would be unlocking these lobbies, right? Let's be real.
We're just trying to prevent them from moving from the...
All right. So I'm going to do a quick account review for him real quick because we already kind of saw his main combat squad, which was really solid, which was, again, Leader right here, Noir, and Blanc. So there's Blanc, Noir, and he's got Scarlet. So those 4, and then I would probably plug in, another Burst 3. So right now he's got Red Hood, who's got this weird symbol because she's actually a unique Nikke in that she could be a Burst 1, Burst 2, or Burst 3. But she's a solid 3rd choice. Other units he may consider would be this Scarlet. There's 2 versions of Scarlet. This one just came out relatively recently. But Black Rose Scarlet, you can run her as well. Or he could potentially, for stages that are not single bosses but are a lot of enemies, could run Heron as well. She's a good screen clearer with her ultimate. Or you could actually do Ludmilla down here as well as your other Burst 3 if you wanted, just for a variance in weapon type as well. So overall solid account. He's got some good teams he could build here and go from there.
The left of the screen to the right of the screen. They don't, again, there's just targeting issues. There's some stuff that's just immune. Give me 1 second, there we go. So yeah, here's Ludmilla. I'm just gonna level her up once in order to do the daily thing. There we go. Bam. So that got her to level 68.
Yeah, so that changed everybody to 168 because of that synchro device that he had mentioned earlier. So something I'm going to critique Steve on doing here. He is maxing out and leveling this purple gear up, and he leveled up this gear that doesn't have a purple emblem in the top left, so it's not even manufacturer gear. It's a small thing, I understand. Level up 1 piece 1 time for the daily, that's fine. But really, you're not going to be wanting to max level these because they're all going to ultimately be replaced by manufacturer tier 9 gear, which this is tier 7 gear. So there's tier 8 gear, which is going to be yellow but with no purple emblem up here, right? It's not manufacturer gear. And then tier 9 is ultimately the yellow border with the manufacturer gear, and that's the good stuff. That's when the game starts to, the grind for gear gets fun. Not, and I'll say that sarcastically because it doesn't matter if it's Genshin, Star Rail, or Nikke. Grinding for gear has got to be one of the most frustrating parts of any gacha. Anyway, so I wouldn't be busting all these, pumping all these up to level 5, which is the max for equipment. I would just do it maybe once for the daily. Save your resources for when you start getting the good stuff.
Oh, no, not enough. Oh, well, whatever. Sorry, as I go through all this, yeah, I'll hit the shop.
Notice in the shop, some things are cost diamonds, some things cost credits. Never spend diamonds on anything in the shop if you're free to play. Not worth it. This 200 for a voucher that increases your bond with him is a joke. Do not spend diamonds if you are free to play in the shop. And to be honest, the credits outside of these freebies and core dust, I wouldn't even worry about it. If it's core dust, buy it with credits. Otherwise, no diamonds, and don't spend money on any of the gear in here.
Kind of lucky today. They're just using regular credits for some of the secondary stuff instead of the premium currency.
Nice.
So I'm going to be able to get a little bit extra.
3 or 4 hours of core dust stuff in there. That's pretty nice.
That's everything. So, ladies.
Oh, so the message. Yeah, this is usually where you get some flavor text and quote-unquote conversation with your Nikkeis. It's fun. It gives them a chance to show some of the personalities of some of the Nikkeis, which actually, some of them are cute, some of them are funny, and they all have their different quirks and stuff like that. But we know what type of game we're in, so some of the dialogue or some of the writing can be a little bit, high school, middle schoolerish or whatever. But we know what this game is, right? So he does this for a bit, and let's go over.
They're supposed to be kind of
Jump to the end of this.
Goofy edgelord type characters.
All right, so he's got his dailies done.
Can't.
His daily rewards. And yeah, you'll notice he got 80 points out of 100, but you'll notice there's still a few things left for him to do. So it's not like you have to do everything on this list to get max rewards for the daily. And it does become a lot quicker, as you learn kind of and have a better account. One thing he hasn't done yet that he should be doing is advising Nikkeis, because by raising a Nikkei's bond, you're getting passive stats to thus make them a little bit stronger, right? So I would go ahead and do that. Plus, at certain bond intervals, you unlock a little character story, and those character stories give diamonds as reward as well. So definitely want to make sure you're advising Nikkeis every day. It's free. To do that doesn't cost any diamonds or resources, so just make sure that you're doing that. Simulation room is another one you want to do every day, because this is the skill up material. This is how you're going to get that. It's part of your dailies, and like I said, those skill up materials are going to be in high demand, especially as your roster of Nikkeis improves. And it is relatively quick to do. Some quality of life changes that they've made a few patches back made this from a slog, just trying to get through it, and very repetitive, to you can literally quick battle fights that you're stronger than, and instead of doing each difficulty, if you just do the hardest difficulty, you'll get rewards from all the lesser difficulties without having to actually do them, which originally you had to do them all, which was a pain. Anyway, also interception is another thing he's going to want to do every day, because this is how you get your gear for your Nikkeis, is through those interceptions. And even if you can't full clear an interception, it's still worth it to do it, because it's still a chance at gear, which is ultimately progress and making your account stronger.
Do 2 more things, and then I will have completed my dailies. Oh,
He got some of his weeklies done.
weekly.
Mission Battle Pass, yeah.
Finish out the battle pass.
Wasn't a big fan of this Battle Pass. Battle Passes usually give you, if you unlock the premium one, maybe like a 10 or 15
So this is kind of the
pulls,
other
and then
half
usually
of
a skin for a
my
Nikke.
issue with it, and it's not
This particular Battle
necessarily
Pass
Nikke's
season
fault.
17.
Most
It was a
mobile
second
games,
skin for a character.
have this sort of
that isn't.
menu-based
I
setup,
don't even know if I have her.
where all you do is you
Um,
click around at stuff. It's like, okay, what's
but it was
glowing
just kind
red,
of a
or what
meh.
has a red dot or an exclamation point?
It was a mess skin for me, and the fact that she got a second skin when some characters don't even have one skin yet. Like, Shift Up, you're doing a great job, I think, with the game. There's some things we can improve upon, and that's one of them. Don't give a Nikke a second or third skin if there are other Nikkes that don't even have one, especially because that's not really a meta Nikke per se. Maybe it's well liked in the community, perhaps, but give the other girls their due before giving her a second one. Anyway,
or is glowing and sparkling and etc. etc. And
no, Steve, you don't want the combat data. Steve,
what is
you
it that
you want the
me
core
to
dust.
click
You
on
want the
game?
core dust.
And most of the interaction with the
All right. So he's doing a couple
interface
no-nos here. So one, that previous screen, he got the battle data out of that one box, not the core dust. I know it feels like you want the battle data now, but the core dust is what you want later. Secondly, these boxes, so it's 1 hour. So basically opening one box will get you 1 hour of whatever resource it's representing. In this case, the battle data. He just opened a core dust one. There's ones back here for 2 hours or 6 hours or whatever have you. And my recommendation is when to open these is when you have hit a wall in the campaign, and when you're planning on pushing, right? So if you're popping these resources, you want to go ahead and use them so that you can push levels, because the further you push into the campaign, the more income you passively earn. So the more core dust you passively earn, the more battle data you passively earn, the more credits you passively earn. And so 1 hour when you're at stage 5 isn't going to be as much as 1 hour when you're at stage 10. So save these unless you hit a wall and you're actively trying to push the campaign. It'll help speed up your progress and give you a little bit more bang for your buck.
is find thing that is glowing or has an exclamation point next to it. Click on it until the exclamation point goes
these,
away.
Steve. You don't need to be opening
and then
these.
move on with life. I fully admit that I'm probably not optimized.
No, you're not.
My daily routine is hardly optimized in this sense.
Another 10 pull. Let's see if he gets lucky here.
But here, I'll do another 10 pull real quick.
It's just a purple? Maybe. Damn. No dice.
Since I had the pulls. I'm off of my comeback luck. Usually when I come back, I'll do a 10 pull and then I'll get 2 SSRs in it.
He hasn't unlocked the special interception yet, so he's just doing
I auto
the
battle
second
these
one.
as well. So as you will see,
He's auto battle.
I really.
So unfortunately, with this boss fight, as you're about to see on Gravedigger, this is one of the fights that you actually don't really want to auto battle. You actually manually want to take these. So a lot of these fights, especially at higher difficulty for the bosses, they are designed to be played kind of manually or have some manual input in it at key moments. This is one fight, like I said, as you're about to see, it's pretty spastic. So not only do you want to play manual, but there is various team comps that you want to change around. And having looked at Steve's account earlier in the video, he has a varied enough roster that he can build something for this. But let's see what his team is for this and see if he's shooting himself in the foot or if he's got a good setup.
In a lot of ways, I don't interact with the game, which is, that's on me. That's
this is
my
painful.
fault. But I just...
Steve, this is painful to see that you're making this fight way harder than it needs to be. So for reference, we have leaders and SMG user. Senti and Scarlet Black Rose are both rocket launcher users, and then Red Hood and Helm are sniper units. For this particular fight, you're going to want to use a lot of shotgun users, actually. So leader is great at burst for your burst 1 because she is such a strong support and buffer of your team. Burst 2, you could actually go with your bunny twins. You could go Blanc because she's going to be your burst 2. Yes, she's an assault rifle unit, but but Noir is a shotgun user, and she actually buffs other shotgun users. I think I saw you had Drake, who is a shotgun user, so you can use her here, or Sugar. If your Sugar is built, you can do that as well. And then you can actually probably throw in, for your 5th slot, you can probably throw in Ludmilla. My build looks something. I have Leader, Guilty, who's a shotgun user as a burst 2, Sugar, believe I have Noir in here, even though I don't use Blanc in this build, and then I have Modernia out here. And then what I'll do is I will manual Modernia because she is a machine gun user, has a huge magazine of, I think I have her buffed to where she has over 700 bullets in the magazine, and that's why I recommended maybe Ludmilla here. So you take over them, and then you manually target, because there are going to be a lot of these circles in this fight, and then the AI will target wherever you're targeting during bursts, and it's easier for the shotgun people to hit around what you're targeting, and then you're just using the machine gun user to just kind of tell the AI where to aim. Snipers and rocket launchers are not going to be it on this particular fight, but I'm interested to see how far you get in the difficulty here. But just my critiques and tips for anybody else in terms of how to build for this fight.
Do not enjoy the gameplay. It doesn't click with me.
That's a cool cutscene. I did not pull for Scarlet Black Rose. I was
I'm
saving
much
up
more
for
of
a future
a
character, but that
roguelike
actually looks pretty cool.
Based type player. I'd prefer something that's more. I don't know. In some ways, I'd prefer something that's less interactive, as weird as it is to say.
Yeah, so this fight becomes incredibly difficult
so
when you miss two of those three triggers in a row. If you miss two of these in a row, he's missed this one.
At least I don't have to necessarily
and if he misses,
engage in it. I just have to
and he missed one previously, so it's going to charge at him and do a lot of damage. You see that killing a unit.
In that, it will also
so
the way that the AI works is it prioritizes the
help
use
take
of
out those closely and tightly
from
clustered
left to right, which is why the team is set up the way it is, so that leader will
Let's
go
see if he
off
can finish this.
first,
He's almost
and,
there. Is he going to?
Citra, I think, is the current girl that's up. She's my last survivor, and then it'll go to Scarlet and Helm. And
now at this point in the fight, if you ever have a bad run, if you hit pause, you can hit retry and start over, and it won't have wasted an
attempt. She's not down herself.
So that would be highly recommended, especially if he was that close to success. And that was just pure auto. If he is any manual input on this.
Now the nice part is that I mentioned you can quick battle. In the story mission, basically it's just like this. You can just hit the quick battle button, boom,
it's nice. 3 attempts, and you can just quick battle the second and third, and it'll give you exactly the same type of rewards as if you had cleared the stage exactly how you did previously.
And that'll be the tower.
The Manufacturer Tribe Towers. Okay.
Grab one of them. I guess they have all of them open today.
Let's take a look at the Legion build. Okay. Let's take a look at this team. Alrighty, so admittedly, the Elysian Tower is actually probably one of the hardest towers just because the units that have been released in the game that are in this manufacturer have not been a strong suit in terms of what you can put together to get your full burst rotation. He does have, essentially the decent units that you're wanting to use, the Miranda, Helm, Privity over here in the 5th slot, and then Marcion in the 2nd slot. The new Nikke on the banner right now is D Killer Wife. She's Elysian and actually is a really strong burst one. You could maybe potentially replace Miranda with her once you get her built up, but this is still a tough tower because there are not a lot of powerhouse burst 3s who are typically your damage dealers. But let's see how he does.
Sorry for the dead air there. Okay, so playing through. Now with the towers, again, I know David mentioned this in the past, but you basically have to use characters that all are the same manufacturer. Within the lore of the game, as I understand it, basically unspecified apocalypse happened to the world, and in order to stop evil robots, I think it's an evil robot disease, I don't remember, young women had to be turned into killbots, and people are mean to the killbots except for you, the commander. Your special ability is that you treat the pretty killbot girls like pretty girls, and so they like you and they bond with you, and so
it's basically a story about prejudice and treating people lesser than human, and so you can make some allegories to slavery and stuff like that. And the commander essentially is like, hey, no, they should be treated and be given equal rights like humans, and so that's kind of the story. But humans are trying to reclaim the surface from the robots, as it were. Raptures, they're called in the game.
They're your friends. Friends, with quotes. Everybody else treats them like they're horrible.
Some of them are friends, Steve. Some of them are just friends.
The heart of gold in those women who got turned into kill droids.
If we read the Bond stories.
there's a lot of questions
Definitely
there.
some that are just friends.
Anyway,
Though it is canon that others are more than
but
friends.
you know, the manufacturer there is, I guess, the girls can be, you know, maybe you want a Honda kill bot woman. You know, maybe you want a
Equating them to car manufacturers. Oh, I was not ready for that.
a Kia, or perhaps you know you want a Ford or GM. You know, got to know what manufacturer of your little girl killbot, or you know, a lot of these are women too. So
Most of them are women.
Got to make sure that
There's only one or two that are technically little
use
girls.
the same brand for the towers.
But at the end of the day, they're all robots.
Darn it. I don't need to do one, but that's fine. Here we go. That's why, you know, kind of these teams are a little bit janky. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an amazing team builder or anything like that. Apparently, later on in the game, there's quite strong team building checks that you have to hit. I've not gotten there yet, obviously, but at the moment
he's
I kind
floating
of
on
just
tower
slap
level
in
like
whatever I got. I think
77,
one of these are
78,
also
kind of creeping around there.
either a campaign specific.
For my
or
towers,
borrowing
I'm
them
around
from somebody else.
170,
Like it's
180 for most of,
shared,
if not all, my
not
towers.
shared character, but they're basically
And
character
team
on
comps
loan,
definitely
what
do
have
matter
you,
in the future. And just unfortunately, this tower Elysian is the most difficult because of his team comp. Let's look. Is he gonna do? Are we gonna do Missiles? Or is he gonna call it a day here?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah, got that. Okay. No, I think I mentioned that prisoner thing before. Yeah, liberation. Yeah, this is the other bit that I hate. This liberation thing where you have to achieve.
So the Liberation, it was a feature they added a few months after launch. Basically, it's if you're going to be free to play, it's 30 days. You get assigned 3 random things to do, so essentially daily tasks. And some of them may actually line up directly with your daily tasks. You do those 3 things, you accrue Liberation points or whatever, and after 30 days of doing all 3 tasks, you will get an SSR Nikkei. Of the 3 that are available in there now, the base 3 that are available in there now, the most useful one, or the one that will maybe see some use right now, is going to be Guilty. The other 2 are all right, and you know, like I said, this is a game where it's a waifu collector. So if you want to do waifu over meta in this game, by all means go for it. If you are looking for which of the 3 is the most meta pick, it's going to be Guilty. Now there is ultimately a 4th one that becomes available at one point. I will not go into detail about them just because that is some story spoilers. But once she becomes available, it will take you, I think it's about 60 days to get her if you remain free to play and don't spend any diamonds re-rolling those tasks. And she's not as important now as she was when she was launched in terms of what she meant for your teams and your manufacturer towers. I'll just kind of leave it at that without, if I go any further, it'll potentially spoil the story.
Achieve these tasks in order to unlock her. It's taken me forever. I still haven't unlocked her, and she requires me. I've got to do 5
He's doing the
advices. As I mentioned earlier, I am a great boyfriend.
But he had also mentioned earlier about how long it takes the dailies to do, and you'll notice like he's completed his dailies and now he's going in and doing this. So just to make it more efficient, or to be an efficient run, you want to check your liberation tasks first to see if any of them do line up with your dailies. That way you can knock those out. And if he had, you can see he would have already done the advising of the Nikkei, so this would already be done. And then he wouldn't have had to maybe do something else that he didn't need to do. He wouldn't necessarily had to do a campaign stage or whatever have you and saved himself a fight. Now, he's still at the stage of the game where you're wanting to push content, and there's plenty of reason to do all of the above to push content for any reason. But if you're getting to a stage like me where you've completed all of the normal campaign, Pushing the hard campaign is just you need to get resources to level up, and you're remaining free to play. Then you're going to get really efficient with how you do your dailies, and I'm usually in and out in 5 to 7 minutes in Nikkei if I want to be. If I want to grind some content or anything like that, obviously I stay in a little bit longer. But if I'm just doing dailies, 5 to 7 minutes, I'm in and out.
To these robo killbot women, I am so kind. I do not just auto and ignore them and, try and speed through having to listen to their inane chatter all the time. I really do care. I pay attention. I don't just skip whenever I have the opportunity.
Another quick tip for Steve here. He should be doing this with Nikkeis that he actively uses if he hasn't maxed out their bond level already. Again, because bond levels do give passive stats to the Nikkeis, which makes your combat power a little bit stronger, which helps you push content a little better.
Technically, if you pick the right option, you get like double the points.
So he should be doing this on Leader. He should be doing this on Noir and Blanc. He should be doing this on Scarlet.
Oh, I guess that wasn't the answer that she was looking for. Oh, got her maxed.
Yeah, and depending on the answer you get either 50 or 100 bond points. Basically, you want to pick something that the personality that Nikkei would like. So if you tell the detective girl to go be a detective, she'll give you 100 points. But if you tell her she should go to the police, she'll give you 50 points. Stuff like that, right? It's all relatively
I'm a
pretty
good
obvious.
boyfriend. She ranked up. She liked me.
Not a boyfriend, you're the commander, Steve.
Truly a Don Juan am I.
And he's not using all 8 of his attempts that he get. You do get more as you get deeper into the game, but you should be using all those again every day. Clear simulation room is his other task for this. Again, that's a daily task he could have done and should be doing for the skill up materials.
So the ball is kind of in Dave's court at this point. It took me around 20-ish minutes, I think. Yeah, I'm sitting about 25 minutes for me to complete my dailies, and that was about 15 minutes too long in my opinion. But yeah.
All right, guys. So yeah, that's gonna be his video there. Like I mentioned, he's still in the stage of the game where I would consider him to be in the early phase of the game. So yeah, the dailies maybe do take a little bit longer because you're literally pushing everything to push more content to get more materials that you need. But once you get to a little bit later point in the game, then like I said, you're usually in and out in anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes to get it done. If you guys do have any questions about Nikkei, you're interested in trying it out, feel free to shoot us a message. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy the game. I always joked, that you come for the great racks, but you stay for the great tracks, because there's really good music. The story is actually pretty decent, and the game is aware of what it is and has a lot of tongue-in-cheek type humor in that regards. And Shift Up, the developer, does a pretty good job in terms of listening to community feedback, as well as kind of generosity in terms of what they do for events or anniversaries or polls. And really, at the end of the day, we're playing gacha games because we kind of like that gambling aspect, and so it's pretty friendly in that regard as well. If you're looking to just collect, you can collect. Or you can be a little bit more surgical with which Nikkeis you pull for if you're interested in them. Like I mentioned, they have a ReZero collaboration coming out this week, or maybe by the time I get this posted and edited, that collab will have already started. But if you like that anime and you're interested in trying it out, could be a good time to start because they will usually actually do even more stuff with collabs in terms of resources and things. If you like the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave some comments down below. Maybe you guys have some tips or feedback for your experience with Nikkei. But until then, keep on gaming.